that is heterosexual. We respect and appreciate that. But she is what is in those extended acronyms as an A, which is an ally.
Hey, all right. Oh, I'm an ally as well then. I didn't know that was part of it, but okay. Then we'll be LBGTA. Okay.
A P K B I B L T.
I got it. And in addition to Rashad's many accolades, he's also one of the panelists that is on We Speak.
Yes, he is.
So, Tony, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about We Speak?
We Speak is a show that started in 2013. I got turned on to producing through a good friend of mine who Rashad knows as well as many of the people in the DMV area. Shaquita Lee, also known as, well, his real name is Jerry Van Hook. Sorry. But I was a camera person on his reality show, Drag City DC. And he turned me on to the public access world. And I just really, really loved it and really enjoyed it. So I decided to start my own show. I've always been a big fan of talk shows. And one of my favorites is a show called The View, which, I'm sure most of you have seen over the years. So I wanted to design something similar to that, which was basically, not necessarily talking about gay issues, but more or less talking about things from a gay perspective. So that was sort of like the original basis of the show, which included the LGBTQA panelists and members thereof.
And why is that important? Why did you feel the need to do that? I know it's new, it's a different concept to have a panel of talking heads speaking from the perspectives of being in the LGBT community, and also talking about issues that are relevant to all of us.
Well, see, that was just it. It wasn't necessarily us discussing, or them. I'm not a panelist on the show. I'm just a producer-director. It was just talking about those subjects that are talked about on other shows, but just from the gay perspective. How we would feel, and just basically to show the audience that we're just like everybody else.
Right. Many times
we think just like everybody else, so it's just those same issues that you discuss, just from that perspective.
Take us back to maybe some of your episodes, and what was one of the most impactful episodes for you, you think?
I'd say not necessarily for me, but one of the most impactful for one of our panelists. And then after we taped the episode, she made me really understand about how it affected her. But when Bruce Jenner went through his transition to become Caitlyn Jenner, we did a show shortly after that where she discussed how she felt about that. And it opened up her mind to how people that she was very close to, but at the same time had not heard, how the perspective of what it was, my words are mixing up, how it was for them to feel about, because she felt like, okay, these are my friends, they love me, they care for me, they're close to me. But I guess from her perspective, she didn't understand that, yes, we understand, we love and respect and care for you, but at the same time, we don't necessarily understand what it is that you're feeling. So it's not a thing of us identifying, it was more of a thing of just us understanding and caring for you as a person. And when we had a discussion after that, it just, I don't know, it kind of broke my heart a little bit that she was really affected, because she was really at the point where she really wanted to get up and walk off the set, because they were saying things that she was just totally shocked by.
And wait, so that I'm clear, is she a transgender person?
Yes, she is a transgender. Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, and see, and that's an interesting conversation for me, because as a heterosexual woman, and I don't know, I don't have gay people in my immediate family that I can discuss these issues with. Well, that I know of, you're right, and that I can discuss these issues with. I operated in the world with an assumption that gay men really were champions for the rights of the transgender community. I didn't see any distinction between that.
In some instances, we are, but at the same time, for some, it's hard to understand. And again, the gay community can be very aesthetic, and if you're not passable, you're labeled in a different way. You're treated in a different way. This particular person is completely passable, and so she's treated in a completely different way than, say, a transgender who is 6'4" and very manly, very broadly looking, just because of how they appear to be.
Yeah. And Rashad, how's your experience been as a panelist on We Speak?
I have enjoyed it. I have thoroughly enjoyed it. From the first show that I was on was season 4, right? Yes. Season 4. And it's just been amazing, to have a platform to kind of just express your ideas and your feelings about, like Tony said, the everyday topics. So where some people may really feel that because there's a difference in sexuality that the idea will be different, but it really is just like normal conversation. And the one thing that I think comes across is that no matter, the sexuality doesn't matter because the ideas and the thought process is often still the same.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's all about conversations about dating and how you feel about, just that every day-to-day thing. I mean, in terms of your relations with other people that are obviously, of the same sex, that's going to be a little different. So that was also, allowing the audience to see what things are like from that perspective, that we're not all just kind of like horny, and promiscuous, but we feel the same things that you feel, but just in a different way in terms of, obviously who it is that we want to be with.
Got it. So, over the past, I'm going to say 5 years, and I could be a little bit off with my numbers there, but I know that the public is starting to see more LGBT content in entertainment. You've got shows like Empire and Star and Shonda Rhimes' Grey's Anatomy and Scandal, How to Get Away with Murder. You've got the popularity of shows like RuPaul's Drag Race. It seems as though there's, what you sometimes hear people speak about is a gay agenda in media. What are your thoughts about something like that? Is it fair when people make criticisms about the proliferance of gay characters in major shows, major network shows like that? Is it fair when people say that they're being pushed into a gay agenda?
I'm not necessarily sure what you mean by gay agenda. It does bother me to the extent that certain shows still kind of deal with us in more of that sort of like taboo,
cliches
kind of thing. I mean, Will and Grace was a great advocate because they sort of normalized relationships. Of course, I mean, I don't really understand how an attorney and a designer are living together into their late 40s. But I mean, I know New York rent's expensive, but I mean, come on, y'all need to be that close. That's a little weird to me. But it bothers me when you see things that are sort of like, they're still dealing with that shock value, and I'm waiting for us to get past that point. Like, there was a show that was on called The New Normal, and that sort of like made things kind of like, okay, we're going to show what regular life is like. But of course, that didn't, it didn't go on. I don't know, maybe it was on for like 2 seasons or 1 season. Yeah. I mean, it was cute for what it was, but I don't understand why Nene was on there. But that's another story.
But you know what, Tony? I think that's the wonderful thing about having all the shows show characters that are homosexual in various aspects, because it brings to light that they are in existence.
Yeah, but I'm specifically talking about the ones that are still dealing with us in terms of that, he's having an affair with a man.
Right.
Like, I'm tired of that.
Yeah, because that's old.
Yeah.
But like you said, with Will and Grace, to me, the draw to that show was, it taught me years ago that there's a sense of normalcy with that,
Right.
that.
But I think it's still, not to cut you off, but it's still pushing it in a little bit, because there's a new show that started on Fox. I think it's called 911, and
yes, and I haven't seen it.
Tina Turner,
Angela
Bassett, husband.
Angela
Bassett's, love you, Angela. Her husband came out as gay, and so there was that whole shock from that. It was just like, okay, I mean, do we have to go there again with that?
Very true. But, I think it speaks to the fact that these are things that people actually deal with. And so one thing that, like, I get what you're saying, that the shock value thing is old, because it really is. Yeah. But it also brings to light that these are issues that people deal with every day. So there's a woman who's watching that show who that just happened to.
That, yeah.
And so she's like, okay, it's not just me. Even though she knows it's not just her, but every time when things happen to you, you feel like I'm the only one. But so to me, it's a way of normalizing these things and letting people know that this actually happens. This is not just TV. Yeah, it's not made up. it's actually happening.
I understand what you're saying, and I'm probably wrong for making reference to it because I only know that from the preview that I saw. I haven't actually watched the show, but I don't know. When I saw that preview, it was just kind of like, really, we still in this place? We're still going through that again? Why can't it just be something where you add that gay perspective thing because instead of just doing it in like this negative way where it's like, okay, the gay, they had like 2 kids, so the kids are heartbroken, the wife's heartbroken, she's like beating him up in the kitchen. It's just like, come on. Like she was literally like throwing stuff at him,
right?
throwing stuff at him.
Well, the opposite of that is the show that's on HBO, The Shy. And just on the 3rd episode, they introduced a set of characters. And it starts out where you see the mom in the kitchen making breakfast, and then another woman walks in, and then they kiss, and then they just go on about a normal, a normal morning, getting the kids ready for school. And I thought that was really interesting. How
so it's like a polyamorous
No,
relationship?
they're in a relationship. They're a couple. They're in a relationship.
Oh, I thought you meant there was another
but
person.
I just thought it was nice. It was just juxtaposing what you just mentioned in terms of the way they were able to bridge that together was just so natural. Like it was just, this is just 2
because
moms.
That's people's lives.
That is people's lives.
Right, and even in this other new show was a spinoff from Blackish called Grownish, which is a really, really good show. I mean, I like it more than I like Blackish.
Wow.
With the oldest
Yes.
daughter. And there's a character, because she's gone off to college, kind of like the way the different worlds. Denise went off to college. But there's a secondary character on there who's a lesbian. And they just kind of like, okay, and this is what she does.
Yeah.
And I think it's always viewed very differently from a gay man versus a lesbian. Because I think in some instances that's a little more accepted. People don't have as much of a problem because I guess, I don't know, for whatever reason, a straight man can watch 2 women, a straight woman can't watch 2 men. I don't really get what that's like. I don't know, Call Rashan and let him tell me. I don't really understand how. Well, I guess I understand. Well, no, I just answered my own question.
I think it just has, throughout the years, it's a certain connotation or stigma placed on each. And, 2 men has always been looked at in a very negative light. 2 women have, it's almost been kind of non-existent, like.
What, lesbians?
Yeah. Like, in terms of conversation, like, you don't hear people really talk about it, so it doesn't really have that negative
stigma. To the extent where it's
2
almost viewed
have.
more positively because they feel like, okay,
Well,
these are women that are supporting.
Right,
because these are women that are supporting each other emotionally and physically, as opposed to just guys that are just trying to, like, you know,
and that's why I really didn't want to take it to that point. But it's looked at 2 guys often. It's just as from a sexual aspect, and that's not always the case. We know.
Right.
So, but when you look at 2 women, like you said, it's usually it's a loving relationship, like you said, supporting and whatnot. So I think that's
the
where
first
the
thing is not to
divide
visualize the 2 women so much. Well, maybe in some instances, as opposed to like being disgusted by the visualization of the 2 men.
Correct.
Interesting. So
Which, if you watch one,
I don't know about this.
I want
to
pivot in the conversation a little bit. Something that I started thinking about recently on Watch What Happens Live. Andy Cohen was interviewing, was it Patti LaBelle? And Patti LaBelle shared the story about Luther Vandross being gay, and one of the reasons why he never came out. Or never shared that publicly. You guys have any thoughts about that? Like why Luther would keep that?
Well, what did she say?
Now, I don't want to say exactly what she said in full context, but I believe Andy asked her
and that
the
was
question.
something. I mean, side note to that, I didn't understand why people were so harsh on her for the response when he was the one that answered the question. He was the one that asked the question.
Right.
Well, what was the response?
She basically said that, he never wanted to come out because he didn't want his mother to know, and because he had this female base of fans, that he just felt like that would do something to his career, basically. I mean, for the obvious reasons.
And
Do you
I was
think
about to
it would
say,
have mattered?
I think maybe to certain people at a certain point, I guess they feel like if you don't acknowledge it, then it must not be true, Even though you got a full beat and,
But that was entertainment.
And for those of you at home, a full beat would be.
That was entertainment.
Painted to the gods.
Yes, painted to the gods. But that was entertainment then, and so I think he dealt with it in the best way that he could have. the best way he thought was best for his career at that time.
Right, because there are a lot of fans out there that can be completely in denial. Because I remember stories about Liberace and him having like female fans that were like going ape stuff over him. He had a fur with a train, and you thought he was straight.
Well, see, now that's a little bit of stereotyping, isn't it, now? Because isn't it true
Yes.
that just
You
because...
clearly didn't see what he had on when he came in.
But isn't it true, though, that
There's a sable in the coat check.
just because, as a fan of RuPaul shows like RuPaul's Drag Race, isn't it fair that maybe just because a man dresses in drag, that doesn't necessarily make him gay?
Absolutely.
Right. There's certain instances where they are. Not a lot, but there's certain instances, yeah. And then, of course, when Halloween rolls around, people just get, the no-holds barred.
Yeah, explore.
Is everybody else going through menopause? Because it's warm. It's quite warm in here.
Oh, not me. I'm
Okay.
okay.
It's the racist conversation that's getting
But if somebody in the control room happens to be able to control something, throw some ice cubes on the fire.
And you had mentioned Nene in the new normal, and I remember again with thinking about Andy Cohen, there was a lot of conversation around how sometimes with the cast of like the Real Housewives of Atlanta, how they seem to be very supportive of the gay community, but at the same time, I guess they throw their own secret shade. And
at
I
the
know
gay community?
At the gay community, and I know that there was a little bit of criticism on a recent episode where Nene had a party where you were to bring your favorite gay.
Right.
I mean, is that appropriate?
Well, I think I think most people had an issue with the title that she gave it. When I saw the episode, I said to myself, what is she trying to say? And as I thought about it, I was like, well, I guess everybody has a gay friend. So it was like, bring your favorite, your good Judy with you. And that's what I think she was trying to convey, but you have to be careful how you label certain things. And I think that's
people were offended by that? I didn't know.
Oh,
yeah. People were very offended by that.
Because it was just like you said, bring your favorite gay. So a lot of the guys that came, they came, but they were still offended by, why are you just
This
labeling
was something
me
within
as...
the episode of people being offended. This wasn't like the public.
No, there was even public backlash afterwards.
Both.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I mentioned that because I think that sometimes people have a tendency to be stereotypical in their behavior and treatment of the gay community and not really aware of how things can be a little bit offensive. And I just thought, too, that whole bring your favorite gay. Right. Like, that would be, to me, the equivalent of a white person bring your favorite nigga to,
right.
You know what I mean? To a party.
True.
And that's, that's not something we want to kind of support.
But then we have to let people know. And see, I thought it was great that the party goers did speak on it, so that you can educate people. Life is about education. We start from when we're a child and we don't stop till we die. And I think that was just a moment of education for her to understand that certain things you say can be really harmful, even though you said it with a good intention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that it's because, again, a lot of us don't really have an opportunity to really sit and talk and kind of digest issues of importance to the LGBT community.
I have to go back and watch it.
Yeah, it was
really
quite
good.
An interesting episode. Yeah, for
I remember
many
the fight. I didn't remember all that stuff. I don't remember all that. Because it was only just on that one episode. Other than the fight, it didn't really go into...
What fight are you talking about?
Well, once they went into the house, then they got into the fight with Kim because she said something, the whole John Legend thing came up.
Oh, yeah, well, we're not going to rehash all of that.
Which he actually spoke about on Watch What Happens Live because Chrissy Teigen was a guest last night. And he was sitting in the audience and he kind of spoke to it.
Interesting.
It was interesting because he just said, we put on a really good show, but you don't need to go through that just to get there. And apparently they're really good friends.
Yeah.
Chrissy Teigen and Kim Burrell.
Associate.
Kim Burrell.
And speaking of Kim Burrell, is the gay community over that whole backlash with her? How has that happened with...
Well, I think she... I mean, I personally was not really that familiar with her before that. Even though once all that came out, I got some reminders of, oh, okay, well, that was a woman she sung with Whitney once, and she did blah blah blah. And then I don't know, she kind of kicked her own self in the teeth by doing more after that. So I don't know whether or not that backlash did anything to her fan base or career in any form after that, because I don't know where she was in terms of her star status.
Well, I think it did. Not that we may have seen,
because there was some awards thing that she got disinvited to.
Yeah, right. There were, there was a lot of little things like that. But I think anytime, especially, I always think it's a very touchy area when those who are in the church do things like that. Only because now, whether or not, how people view the lifestyle, there are still many people who identify as homosexual that go to church and who are faithful churchgoers, who are faithful believers. And the same way it may affect, a heterosexual person for someone to stand in the pulpit and condemn them, it does the same to the homosexual person. Absolutely. So for Kim Burrell to be a well-known singer, and I'm sure she had a large following, but for her to make those derogatory comments, I'm sure she lost a large base. So
because that competition show was off a long time ago, right? That she was on the Sunday something.
Sunday's Best, yeah.
Okay, and she was she on that the
she
whole
was
time?
A panelist, I think.
She was.
I think that was over by then.
Okay,
I believe.
Yeah, that was.
Like again, I wasn't really that familiar with her, and I never really watched Sunday's Best. What's funny about that? I'm sorry. I mean, I love gospel music, but I just wasn't familiar with her. I guess
I personally didn't really watch the show either.
Okay.
I knew that she was on there. I would go in and out on it. When someone would call and say, "Oh my God, did you see?" that singer, or I would hear about it, that Monday, there was a guy on there who really sang, so I would tune in next week just to kind of hear, and then I really wouldn't follow it, though.
Which kind of, I mean, I know you're the host, and I have a question. Kind of makes me kind of wonder, like, okay, when people say things like that, do they then deserve the level of backlash that just basically kind of destroys them?
Well, I think that's why you have to be careful of the things that you say. You have to, especially when you get to a certain level, you have to understand that you have a platform, and your platform reaches a lot of people. And so there's always a way to say certain things. You don't have to.
But clearly, whatever it was that she felt in her heart was what came out of her mouth.
Very true.
So
some people, and people who were offended by it, they have the right to be offended.
Right.
Now, unfortunately, if that destroys your career, then that's unfortunate.
So basically, when you enter, I mean, from the perspective of the way you're putting this, when you enter the entertainment industry, you need to understand how the game is played, and you need to play it. So
well, I'm not going to say you have to play it, but you need to understand. That's just like the whole thing that's going on with Monique now.
Right now, exactly. That just seems to be going on and on and on. A new video keeps popping up on my YouTube every day.
Exactly, because
she won't shut up.
But think about it, Tony. Monique was not as out there as she had been.
According to her, she was out everywhere doing something every day.
And she was. In her right, she was. But we did not see her on television every day. Right. She was not on a radio show every day. But now this has given her a platform. It has put her back in every home in America, because though we're like, child, we are tired of hearing this.
Exactly.
We tune in just to see what happened.
Yeah.
I
tune in because she's just, I don't know, it's gotten to the point where it went from being funny to now it's just being kind of sad, because she just has this. I don't understand how you're in the entertainment industry that long and you don't realize to this point that this is something that you need to do, because what you won't do, another person will do. Another person will come around and do for less.
Exactly.
True.
Like, you can't just say, look, I want all of y'all to give up Netflix today.
Yeah.
Girl, I sat there and watched Netflix.
But I mean,
she said
the
that.
reality is, does she really expect people to give up their Netflix?
Well, she sounds like she does. But fellas, we're going to take a break right now.
Because we're going to watch some Netflix.
This is a great conversation, but we're going to take a break. This is The Impact with Robin Dorsey on WBGR Sports and Entertainment Network. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I thought you need to give them a heads up before you do.
Going to the dentist? Are you looking for a warm and caring dental family that can cater to all of your needs? The Michael Family Dental Team is knowledgeable and sensitive to your dental needs. We offer the latest X-ray technology for better diagnosis and care. We can offer 6-month smile, a quicker alternative to traditional braces, Invisalign, implants, cosmetic dentistry, root canals, and extractions of all kinds, and great care for your children. We are currently offering a $99 new patient special, which includes cleaning, x-rays, an exam, and bleaching trays for the remainder of the 2014 year. Look us up at michaelfamilydental.com and call us at 301-265-1650. That number again, 301-265-1650 to schedule an appointment. Have you been looking for a new car? Godwin Motors has got you covered. Check out their credit stimulus package sales event. 100% credit approval regardless of credit, and emergency lenders on hand. Godwin Motors is located at 9071 Lanham Severn Road in Lanham, Maryland, 20706. Log on to their website at www.godwinmotorsonline.com or call 301-577-0400. That's 301-577-0400. That's Godwin Motors. And let them know you heard about them on WBGRsports.com.
I want to talk about the natural hair versus straight hair.
Okay, I'll be out of
And
that
no,
conversation.
actually, because I want to talk about wigs.
Okay.
Yeah, and like
Can we
what's
talk
going
about
on with
how
wigs?
I told Tony I want him to train me on how to do wigs, and he said no?
Oh,
Please
for
do.
real?
Can we talk about that?
I don't recall saying telling you
This
no.
was like 2 years ago.
We're back. Okay, hi, and welcome back to The Impact with Robin Dorsey. I'm joined today by Tony Wesley and Rashan Broadnax. And we're going to take a little bit of a pivot in the conversation, but still on topic. Rashan is a highly educated and highly
Master's degree
respected,
holder.
exactly, master's degree in cosmetology. And I wanted to talk a little bit about hair.
Okay.
And specifically talk about this whole natural hair versus perm hair movement that has really taken place in the African American community among African American women. How is this, I've been dying to understand, how is this really impacting the cosmetology industry?
Okay, so it has the whole natural movement, I would say, it started like really strong, maybe about 2007, 2008. It has had a huge impact on the cosmetology community.
How?
In a negative way?
Well, I won't say in a negative way because I don't look at things like that, those shifts, because they're trends. And it's not really negative, but it's our job as professionals to forecast the trend and try to adapt to it so that your business stays relevant. Mm-hmm. So a person like me, I was not a big natural hair stylist because it took a while, so it was just like, I don't even want to go into all of that. But I had to understand that as many of my clients came in and said, hey, I'm thinking about transitioning, I want to be natural, I was like, okay, get on board. And so I had to kind of adapt my business to that and learn techniques that I could still give them what they wanted, make it easy for myself, but also still please them and keep the business going.
Well, what are you actually doing? Because if you're natural, you're not
trying to get me to give away
I
my
was actually going to ask,
If somebody's natural,
No.
what are you
what's the
doing?
difference? Yeah,
What are you doing?
So what I do is like when people come into the salon, they say, "Oh, I'm looking for a natural hairstylist." I tell them that's not me. Now, because in the eyes of most consumers, when they say natural hairstylist, they're looking for somebody that's going to do twists, coils, locks,
Braids,
those type of
yeah,
things.
yeah.
I do locks because I used to have locks. And so that's the one natural style that I still maintain. But predominantly my clients want to be straight. They want to have their hair straightened.
I said nothing.
But, they want to be natural. They don't want to have the chemical relaxer. So that's the difference. So I do a process called silkening. And so it gives them the straight hair look while maintaining the natural texture.
But what is silkening exactly? Is that some form of a chemical? I'm not asking for the trade secrets, but we got to give away the recipe.
Realistically, silkening is just an updated technique of hair straightening, like the old-fashioned press and comb, but we don't use a comb. So there's various tools that you can use. Most commonly, people use a flat iron, and so some people say, I just want to get my hair flat ironed. But to silk the hair is to really infuse it with moisture so that it can withstand the heat, and then to pull.
Interesting. Why did we get away from the straightening comb? I mean, I appreciate it, I like it, but why did the industry get away from that?
Because the tools change. As many things, as we move forward, we come up with things that are going to make our job easier. So we used to deal with the press and comb on the stove, and then in the salon, it was the press and comb in the iron.
Right.
And you had to wait, but why wait for it to heat up, and then it might be too hot. Now I have to wait again when I just have a flat iron that stays even temperature, and I can use that one tool to quickly get through the hair. So it was kind of the progression of the tools, but we still use it. Some people still need it.
I still need one.
But in terms of what technology is and where it's taken the hair industry, what's wrong with whatever the opposite of natural is? Like why are people going natural? Is it because it's damaging? But I thought there's things that are at so many different levels where your hair can't really get damaged.
Okay,
as
so there's a lot of different reasons. Most often, or I'll say it started, or with a lot of people, the excuse people use is because my hair, it needs to be healthy, which is a misconception.
Because hair is dead, so it can't be.
Well, let's not even go into all of that, but that's an aspect, but let's not even touch that. But let's talk about the hair, just still being really healthy on the head. A lot of people looked at using chemical relaxer as the chemical that does that. It is the professional that you're going to that's not recognizing the change in the hair.
Yeah.
So a person with a relaxer can have absolutely healthy hair.
Yeah.
And that's what you should promote. Now, it is true that the natural hair is stronger.
Okay.
And that's the difference.
Okay.
So some people may confuse health with the hair being strong.
Okay.
So it's
you're not always going to have breakage just because you have a chemical.
Absolutely. Absolutely not.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. And you shouldn't. As a hair care professional, you should be able to identify the changes in the hair. Understand that, okay, if this person has a chemical relaxer, how often do I need to trim the hair? Where should I trim the hair? Which is often the issue. Some people, and see, that's where those of you who come into the salon, please don't tell your professional how to trim your hair. Let them determine what needs to be trimmed, or at least let your professional tell you what needs to be trimmed. Now, if you say, yeah, but I don't want that much, your professional should tell you, okay, but this is what you need. If you don't, this is what's going to happen.
But could this also be just
so
because there are certain women and men that are going to the wrong person who are not diagnosing what this person really needs?
Yeah, I've never been to a salon and had a diagnostic done prior to a consultation.
That's a whole separate. That's
Wow.
a whole separate thing, and they should.
Except
and that's
when
where
I go
it
to
starts.
Bennett's. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you need to let that person know, and I assume that in some cases, maybe not necessarily with you, but with some women, they forget, oh yeah, I do still have some color in here. Oh yeah, I do still have this perm that hasn't grown completely out. And then you go smack something on top of it, and you're like,
but you know what?
Hair on the floor?
To be perfectly honest, a trained professional can see certain things. And so when you come into the salon and we do a consultation,
you can see old perm, old color, and all that.
You can look at the hair and tell. And if you can't say definitely, oh, you have a relaxer. You can ask questions that's going to lead to that coming out.
Yeah.
Okay, so is your hair always this straight?
Yeah.
You know, does it hold a curl?
Yeah.
You know, and those type of things will make a person say, oh, well, you know, no, I did have a relaxer, you know.
Right.
Oh, no, you know, my hair, I did relax it last week, and then I put one in this week because it wasn't quite straight. Yeah, that's why it's not holding a curl. It's hanging on the dear life.
Yeah.
So you should probably really encourage your clients, or not necessarily you as a hair designer or hairdresser, to keep a hair diary so that you know what you've done to your hair, when you've done to it, so that when you go to a professional, you know, master's degree holding,
soon to get a doctorate.
soon to get a doctorate, that you let that person know, oh yes,
And
on
that's
April
what-
30th,
That's
2013,
generally what a
I
good
had this
stylist
done.
would do.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
if
but
you come
like you
to
said,
me-
don't you people forget?
Yeah, well, sometimes you do forget.
Right.
And again, I would be nice to go into a salon sometimes and really just get a consultation and have somebody talk to me about my hair and what I've been experiencing since my last visit, and you know what my focus is. But I want to kind of shift the topic, not a lot, but just a little bit, to talk about the whole wig movement, because that's the new thing: wigs versus weaves. You know, I'm a girl that's partial to weaves, you know, but you know, wigs are really having its moment right now. It seems as though everybody, especially in entertainment, I think it's being driven by the whole entertainment industry.
Comcast,
wigs.
Verizon, thank you for all of that. We thank you so much.
And so, what are we seeing in terms of trends in wigs and why women are going to wigs? And
I mean, I don't necessarily question my clients in terms of why they want this, because I mean, it, you know, obviously it's directly benefiting me in terms of you know, my ongoing career. But I mean, what was the question?
well, I want to just talk about why are wigs so expensive. can we talk about that? And what's the benefit of getting a custom wig as opposed to just buying a wig off the rack? I don't know if that's the proper terminology.
Well, the benefit of a custom wig is the fact that it's going to look more like your hair than opposed to, you know,
But it's a
she got
wig.
a wig on. You'd be surprised. There's some people, I mean, realistically, in terms of, I mean, you can look at a person and know, okay, you're really not going to have a head of your butt. But it looks really good, and it looks like it's completely natural to you.
Wow.
As opposed to, you know, something that has that little wig line, or it's got that bang, or you can see the cords hanging out the side, or, you know, something like that is clearly like a wig, you know.
Wow.
So there's the benefit of getting a custom one. I mean, if you are that person who wants that perfection level of not necessarily people knowing it's a wig, but people sort of like questioning, well, is it or isn't it? And if it's
What's
not,
the
it's
difference,
a really
though,
good.
in just getting a good weave?
Okay, so the one difference, Tony, I think, where you say you don't question, I do. I'm a question person, and
I'm saying I don't question them. I'm
Right.
saying the general public might question.
Right,
Or
no,
people
no.
unfamiliar with what a wig
I
can
question.
do.
I question everything. When people come and they want to cut their hair, why? I have to know.
Oh, so you mean you question if a
I
woman
sure
wants to get a
do.
wig?
Yes,
or if
I
she wants
do.
to get a wig?
Because that's important to me to figure out what's the best to give you, or what do I need to do to give you what you need. And you may just say, oh, I want a wig because your good girlfriend had a wig and it looked cute.
Exactly.
But is that wig going to be good for you? You see what I'm saying? So you may need a weave.
Yeah.
You know, or do I need to create a unit for you and then stitch it down on you so that it doesn't come off? I need to know these things, and that's where asking those questions, I guess being a skeptic, you know, I need to know why for everything when you come and ask me for something.
Yeah.
So, and it just becomes one of those important things. But wigs have become very big, I think, because now we know how to make them look more realistic.
Yeah.
You know, now that
And women want that versatility. They
Right.
want to experiment with certain looks and styles without making the commitment,
exactly,
you know, of doing something really dramatic to their own hair,
Exactly.
be it color or just.
and
you
the
know.
versatility is the big key.
Yeah.
Because even with the newer wigs, with the lace fronts and all of that, I can still take it off at night.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
if I want.
Yeah.
You know,
Again,
a
the
lot of
versatility. I
the-
may be feeling Beyonce one day and Lupita Nyong'o the next.
Oh, and speaking of that, so who right now are you all seeing as really influencing beauty and fashion from the entertainment industry these days?
In terms of wigs or fashion?
Just in terms of either wigs, in terms of fashion, who are really big influencers? I know Beyonce just recently went natural, which was different. Like well, for me, I didn't really know that she wasn't natural. I mean, her hair still looks the same to me, I guess.
Yeah.
Because she has a very good wigologist.
Right.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
But a lot of my clients that come to me, they're very like intrigued with the versatility of somebody like Carly B or Remy Ma, just in terms of what they put on, and it looks natural. It looks like it could be theirs. It looks very good on them.
So Remy Ma wears wigs.
Well, she wears something that appear to be not her hair.
Okay.
I mean, because it's hard to tell what's a wig and what's a full weave because of you can get the lace closures now.
Right. The 360. All those things. My opinion is that when it comes to celebrities, I don't think they are doing weaves anymore because weaves, it's a level of commitment, and for as short a time as they need it, they don't want to be locked in because, like you have to sit and have your hair braided down. Then somebody has to stitch that down for 2 days. Mm-hmm. When I can just get a unit and put that on, and then
a couple of stocking caps and hit it,
pin it down, or stitch it down if I'm gonna be doing the Beyonce swing, whatever, and then you take it off in a couple of days.
Mm-hmm. Interesting, nice. Okay, so we're about to get to the end of the show, so I want to make sure I get in some other things. One of the things I want to talk about, Tony, We Speak has been on a little bit of a hiatus. And so I wondered, did you want to talk to the audience about, what's going on? What's the future of the show at this point? How you guys retooling?
Yes, We Speak has been on a bit of a hiatus. We have missed it terribly, but we had some conflicts at the station for where we do the show at DCTV. We're in the process of ironing out those conflicts and making people understand that there are certain ways that people need to be treated that are not going to be acceptable by me or the people that I work with, and we're going to go from there. One monkey don't stop no show.
Amen. The show will go on.
The show will go on. I've worked tirelessly to produce something that I've enjoyed, that I know my panelists have enjoyed, I know that the public has enjoyed because I get that feedback from them through my Facebook page, and I do thank you all for that. It means a lot to me whenever people message me through the Facebook and the Facebook. That's how that the Facebook. When they message me on Facebook and write me comments, and I appreciate some of the comments. I don't appreciate some of the others, but I realize I've put myself in that position where people are going to say certain things, and I appreciate the positive and the negative feedbacks because it lets me know that you're at least watching and that you're enjoying some aspect, and that it's something that I need to keep doing no matter what.
Absolutely,
one monkey ain't gonna stop me.
Amen.
And I miss it.
And that's true. And so during your downtime, Rashan, what have you been doing? Is that how the red chair got launched? Or?
No,
okay.
The red chair is kind of, I don't want to say old, but it's been in existence for some time now. Okay. I have been a hairstylist professionally since 2006. So I'm nearing another anniversary, which is great. I never thought that I would be in this business this long. It was something that just kind of happened to me. And I do work at a beauty school, so I think that kind of keeps me abreast and keeps my hands in it. Mm-hmm. As many times as I said, I think I'm going to let it go. It's kind of kept me grounded in it and kept me moving. So
excellent.
And I also need to express how much I appreciate Rashan being a panelist on the show, because he's, number one, extremely enthusiastic, extremely knowledgeable. The things that he's not knowledgeable about, he makes an attempt to make himself knowledgeable about them, and that's one of the things that I've appreciated most about him. And one of the reasons why I've been very anxious to, bring the show back, just because every time I see him, he mentions it.
When we coming back?
We're coming back.
That show, as you can see, that if this is any indication of what the show was like, it was a lot of fun. So it has been missed. It really has been missed. And so what's the end game, though, with a show like We Speak? Is it to just keep it in public access television? Or is it like, I don't know, would there ever be a feature for it on a Netflix? Or,
national television.
I don't know. It's that's a goal, yes, but at the same time, it's like putting out the product that we've been putting out. I think is the thing that will push us in that direction and encourage us in that direction. But at the same time, I don't know. I'm not. That's not like the constant that I'm thinking about. It's just doing the base of what we've been doing is has been my primary goal the whole time. Like that was, and granted, I pushed it into other cities where you started to be able to see it on other public access channels around the country. So I mean, that was fun. I got feedback from those people, and that was really exciting because I know they were encouraging about it with me because they seemed to enjoy it as well. And it always makes me smile when one of my panelists say, I ran into somebody today and they said they saw me on TV and they watched it, and like, I just heard that the other night when we were at dinner with Jeffrey Brown, who was a guest panelist on our show one day. Nice. I think you know Jeffrey.
Yeah.
So, Rashan, talk to me about what you're watching right now. What are you watching? What's exciting you in the entertainment industry? What trends? What are you seeing happening in the entertainment industry that excites you a little bit?
Asked me a whole bunch of things, but
I'm sorry.
What I'm watching is my number one is the assassination of Johnny Versace.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, y'all haven't seen it?
It's still in my DVR.
Oh my goodness,
it's still in my DVR.
It is amazing. And you know what? I was so excited because I heard, Johnny Versace. So I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be really good. As the season opener came, someone really explained to me what it was. There's another show called American Horror Story.
Yes.
It
Yes,
mirrors that because the assassination of Johnny Versace is an element of the American Crime Story.
Yes.
So it's
Which
kind of
is produced by the same guy,
right? And it's kind of like the same thing. So each season they highlight a famous American crime. The previous season was the O.J. Simpson.
Right.
So now this is the assassination of Johnny Versace, but it's not really about that.
Interesting.
It's more about the murderer.
Interesting.
So that Johnny Versace was the draw, and I think that's what made everybody tune in. But it's really about the guy's name is Andrew Cunanan.
Yeah.
How crazy he was.
Wow.
And that he was a serial killer.
Wow.
That Johnny Versace was not the only person that he killed.
Oh, wow.
And so that's what's so exciting. So I wait to watch that every week. And then, of course, I watch my Scandal and How to Get Away with Murder.
Yeah.
Those are my 3 TV shows every week.
So tell me, it's funny because I watched that last night because Scandal was on last night. And when they first announced at the beginning of the season that this was going to be the final season, it was a little heartbreaking. But as I watched some of the episodes, I don't know. As I've watched some of the episodes since the beginning of the season, I'm kind of like, okay, maybe it's time because y'all seem a little lost.
Well, the thing is,
in what you're doing, are you a fan of the show?
I am a fan of Scandal.
But it's like,
I think
Kerry Washington directed last night's
yes,
episode.
I saw that, and I watched
Right.
it closely because she had really great technique. But I'm
Right.
kind of like, at this point, y'all need to let this go.
well,
because y'all
Shonda
just
Rhimes
don't know
said
where to
that
go no more.
it was not going to be Grey's Anatomy.
Right,
It
which
was
has
this
been
was
on for
like
like 17
right.
years
This
or
was like
something.
season 3. She did an interview and she said, this show is not going to be one that just goes on and goes on. It has an ending. So I think at that time she had an idea how she wanted it to end. Mm-hmm. It was maybe the in-between she had to kind of work out. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what we're seeing now is really what she had envisioned back then.
Well, I think, and a lot of that probably had to do with the fact that, remember, around the first and second season, it was more like she dealt with cases to solve.
Right.
But then it started to get into this background of just her and this relationship, and that relationship kind of took over the show. Mm-hmm. But then it kind of got to a point where it's like, okay, you're only a president for so many years.
Right.
So this is not going to be interesting but for so long.
Very true.
So I think if she'd have stayed in that mode of like, okay, you're doing these cases, that it could have really kind of gone on. Like his presidency could have ended. They could have dealt with that. Maybe their relationship went into a different direction. Maybe it didn't. I don't know. I think the show could have held on if they had gone in a different direction with it.
So Tony, what are you watching now? What's exciting you?
Unfortunately, I'm a big CNN junkie.
Really?
Well, I do watch General Hospital. Oh my God, Nathan died the other day. It really broke my heart. I was like, God, they killed Nathan.
You're actually still watching soaps? Are you serious?
It's I actually do.
Wow.
And I will admit that. I watched The Young and the Restless, I watched The Bold and the Beautiful, and I watched General Hospital.
Where? Because I didn't even know it was
Exactly.
still on.
Every day. They're all in my DVR. I DVR them. Like, I don't watch them like every day to the point where it's like, okay, that came on. But there's like a backlog in my, because I think I'm still watching like Christmas episodes, even though I saw General Hospital. No, because that's how far they're like backed up.
Okay.
I'm exaggerating a little bit. But it's like, I don't know, it was just, I kind of grew up doing that, you know, watching it with my grandmother. You know, back in the day, she used to watch All My Children and Ryan's Hope. So it just, I never kind of, I got out of it
for a while. Fall back into it.
But then I just kind of fell back into it. And they're writing them in a different way where you don't, you know, it's not, I mean, granted, some of the storylines are kind of stupid sometimes. And you're just kind of like, oh, come on. Yeah. And that's an interesting thing because there's something going on in a storyline in the show, in one of the shows right now, where, I don't know, I think, is it the responsibility of a show like that where people are watching it on a day-to-day basis, where they need to teach a person that there's forgiveness and then there's unrealistic forgiveness? Because this woman, she slept with her she slept with her husband's father, and she's expecting forgiveness from her husband.
Wow. I
don't know, as watching that as a viewer, I'm just thinking, what are you really teaching people?
But are soap operas meant to teach anything? Or
I think they are.
I always thought it was a break from your reality. That's how I looked at it. So there was always the plethora of characters on there. There was some character that everybody could identify with. So you could always see yourself there. But it was a break from whatever your reality was, because at the time it came on, who was watching TV?
Right, older people who,
older women. Right, so that's how I always looked at it, or the housewife, or, you know, things like that. So
yeah, but then there was that era through the 80s where, you know, a lot of people started watching it. General Hospital got really popular, and people started, you know, watching Luke and Laura and all of that. Sorry, my phone keeps buzzing. And also, not to, on another tip, have you guys noticed lately that there is this trend where interracial couples and situations are in commercials?
Yes, they are.
Now, do you find that to be a positive influence, or more of a distraction to the point where you remember that situation more than you remember the product?
Interesting.
Because I noticed it in a commercial the other day. I cannot even remember the product, but I can remember the commercial.
That's true.
Like, there's this family, and they're like doing laundry. I don't know if it's the commercial was about laundry.
The one that was moving. I mean, no, they were going on vacation.
Yeah, but what's the product?
Yeah,
exactly.
I think it was Tide. It was some kind of laundry
My
detergent.
first memory of something like that was the Cheerios commercial.
Right, where the daughter was putting that on him, and then people started getting like offended by it or something. But there's another one that just came out recently, and I'm just like, were people really paying attention to that? Because that was so distracting to me. And I know it's positive in the sense that they're allowing people to see what real life is.
Right.
But I guess it's been because we're just at the beginning of it, then it'll get to that point. Because sometimes, and obviously, you two know me well enough to know that I tend to overanalyze things a little bit. Shut up. So when I see that, I'm just like, are you trying to teach us something, or are you just showing a slice of life?
How about that the networks are trying to, I don't know if appease is the right word, but they're trying to...
I think being more diverse.
Yeah, but the reason why I say that is because if it were, say, an all-white family, then somebody would say, well, why are they all white?
Yeah.
If it was an all-black family, why are they all black?
Yeah,
but this goes back to how we started the show, and we talked about the LGBT community being in and showing that they are in existence. And so it's again showing that families are not what we used to think them to be, but now they have morphed into various different types of families.
Yeah, but aren't they also being a little gimmicky too? I'm sorry, go ahead.
We'll do that on the next show.
Yeah, exactly. Because unfortunately, we've reached our time. I want to thank you both for coming. Tony, if people want to see more, hear more from you, how can they find you?
I am on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram. My show has an Instagram page as well. We're also on YouTube. If you want to look up the show, it's We Speak _the talk show. No spaces except for that underscore. On YouTube. I'm on Facebook, Tony Wesley.
And Rashan, and how can the audience keep in touch with you?
Sure, I'm always on Facebook.
Always Tuesdays and Fridays. He does Facebook
my little
Live.
show. It's Rashan Legacy Broadnax. I'm on Facebook, and ironically, because I have been so inspired, I decided to start my own little show venture,
Oh,
you know,
nice.
which is kind of like We Speak, but it's going to be from a salon aspect. So we're going to
Oh,
talk about a lot of
fantastic.
things in the salon and a lot of the current events and things that are going on. And so that'll be coming up shortly. Tune into Facebook for that.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So everyone, thank you for tuning into The Impact with Robin Dorsey. Again, I am not Robin Dorsey. I'm your host, Dawn, aka Rolls Royce Dawn or 70 Plus Dee Dee. You can find me on social media under My Life in Lashes. And I want to thank the sponsors for this evening once again.
As she looks for that, I just want to encourage. I just want to say, speedy recovery to our.
Absolutely,
Yes,
a
Robin.
speedy
Dawn.
recovery to
Oh,
Robin.
and I know she's watching. So hey, Dawn.
Right.
Hey, Dawn.
And
And to was it Gregory? What's the little boy name? We haven't seen him in a long time.
Oh, Darius.
Darius. Hey, Darius.
Resurgence Beauty Salon, D. Christopher Communications, and CRTFG Web Design. This is The Impact with Robin Dorsey on WBGR Sports and Entertainment Network. Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.